In recent times, we've seen disturbing reports coming out of South Africa. Incidents of violence, protests, and growing hostility towards immigrants, especially Africans from other countries. And for Nigerians living in South Africa, this is not something they just see on social media. This is something they experience every day and firsthand. But here's the question. Are Nigerians been singled out? Or is this part of a broader wave of xenophobia affecting immigrants across the board? And more importantly, what is driving this tension? Well, joining me today is a journalist from South Africa who is on ground and knows what is happening to dissect what is actually going on in South Africa and who are those affected by this. Let's dive right into it. Okay, welcome back, guys. If you're just joining my channel for the first time, this is Femi Oguntayo, Unfiltered. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to this channel to support me and help us grow and do more of this. So my guest today is Lesiba Mackaka. He's a journalist and a media practitioner from South Africa. He works in community media, focusing on social issues, education, and also public interest stories that affect the ordinary citizens in South Africa. He's also the editor of Student Living South Africa and a mentor working closely with emerging voices in the media. Join me as I welcome on the show, Lesiba Mackaka. So thank you so much for joining me, Lesiba. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much, Mr. Femi. Thank you so much for having me in your show. And I hope we're going to have a robust discussion on what is happening on the current affairs in South Africa and across Africa.
Yeah, definitely. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today. Actually, before we kickstart this discussion, I want us to just watch this short video. I believe it's going to really help us to dive right into why we are here today. It's a video from, someone, I'm sure you definitely know him. A lot of people know him across Africa. He's a very popular South African entrepreneur and businessman. His name is Vusi. Vusi, right? Tembe Kwayo, right?
Yes, I'm aware of the man. Yes.
So, he was in Nigeria recently. I think he might still even be in Nigeria. And he was speaking at the conference and he said this about what is going on in Nigeria. Let's just watch.
Contrary to what you're seeing on the media, South Africans are not xenophobic. Contrary to what you're seeing in the media. Now, that statement sounds a blasty statement, especially because of some of the things you would have seen online. I'm not saying that there are no xenophobic people in South Africa. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying the entire nation is xenophobic would be missing the point. There are 65 million people in South Africa. We have 11 official languages. We're one of the most diverse societies in the world, and even though that is the case, we get along with most people. If you go and look at the largest companies in South Africa and the CEOs or boards of those companies, you will find that the CEOs or boards or C-suite executives are many people from the rest of Africa. So I think I felt that it was important for me to say that. The second point I want to make is this. I think that there is an agenda to turn us against each other. And I think we feed that agenda when we feed the noise and the fire. And so what I'd like to think we can do is to reach across the divide, have actual conversations, understand what's happening, as they say in Kenya, on the ground, so we can find each other.
Okay, so that's just a short clip, and I'm sure you heard everything they said, right? What do you think?
Yes.
What do you think about that, firstly, before we even go into it? Because, you heard what he said about the fact that it's not as if there are no xenophobic people in South Africa. And he also said something about the fact that this seems like an agenda to pitch us against each other, blah, blah, blah. You heard everything he said. What's your take on that? What do you think about what he said?
Well, Thank you very much for Femi for the question. Tembi is one of the most well-known businessmen and motivational speaker in South Africa and across
Mm,
the globe. His opinion are valid, and everyone has got an opinion based on how they see or they narrow things down based on
mm,
their perspective. So I think based on his statement, he's simply saying what you are being told, what you are being fed is not what is really happening in South Africa. And
mm,
he further stated that I'm not saying that South Africa is not xenophobic, but
mm,
what I'm saying is that it is sort of an agenda that is turned against one another or one brother to another. So I
mm.
think his point is valid based on his perspective, and everyone has got a right for to opinion in South Africa according to the law here.
On social media, even when that video was shared, people felt like what we are saying on social media contradicts what they're saying because it looks like there's going to be like a nationwide protest against illegal immigration. Some are even saying not just illegal immigration, even legal migrants in South Africa. I mean, people who have papers who are legally in South Africa, who have businesses and stuff. We had some businesses have to shut down because of this, and they are not opening their businesses, and they are afraid of being attacked and stuff like that. We saw videos of even people that were physically attacked. I saw a video recently of a Ghanaian, even Nigerian. So I just wanted to know, like, you're in South Africa right now. I know Vusi was in Nigeria when he was saying that, which obviously is not going to come to Nigeria and say, oh, Nigerians are bad, Nigerians are this. Of course, he's going to say, oh, not everyone is xenophobic in South Africa. He's going to try to be nice to Nigerians, right? I don't know if that was what he was doing or he was actually being correct. But you are there in South Africa. What is the situation of things right now in South Africa?
Yes, Femi. About that, from a South African perspective, the issue is real, honestly speaking, but it is often presented in extremes. When you
Mm,
compare international reporting or even local coverage and what is communities are actually experiencing on the ground, it's a more balanced picture begins to emerge. There have been a
mm,
genuine incident of intimidation, violence, and anti-foreigner protest in recent times. Even for the past week, they've been doing some, and those should never be dismissed. At the same
mm,
time, it would be misleading to portray the entire country being in a constant nationwide um, wave of attacks, and it's not something that we wish to happen to our neighboring countries, or for that matter, for people that are within African continent. So part of the challenge is social media has a way of compressing separate incident into one continuous narrative. And Femi, a protest is in one province, a video from another city, and an old clip resurfacing online can even create an impression that the whole country is in turmoil. And
mm.
we've seen it recently, whereby there's been a coronation of the king in Eastern Cape Province. The king
Yeah.
was a Nigerian man, and I'm not saying that that is false. That is true.
Actually, sorry to cut you short because I actually had that in mind also because I heard that was what I don't know. That's why I have you here. I wanted to ask you, like, I heard that the recent surge in the xenophobic attacks and protests started recently because of that coronation that was done in that community of some traditional Nigerians. They were having some kind of ceremony where or maybe they just elected or announced a leader and they did a coronation, and the locals in that area felt that wasn't right. That how are they having a king in a foreign land? What did you hear about that, and what part of the country is that happening?
Femi, that one did cause anger among the citizens, especially people that are living in the Eastern Cape. They were not satisfied with the statement and also the coronation of the chief, because it is impractical for you to be coronated as the king or the chief from another country if it's not your country of origin. So it has been handled, the government of the Eastern Cape province and also the premier that side, they've been handling the matter to ensure that there's no fight amongst each other and also amongst the people there, and also they do not they are advising community members not to cause fights, especially to our fellow brothers, the Nigerians.
It's been conveyed by Herman Mashaba when he was the mayor of Joburg and consistently since then. First of all, we're not opposed to migration at all. We live in a global village. Skills go where skills are required. So if you come into this country legally, you're welcome. As long as you're making a contribution, we know who you are and you're paying your taxes, fantastic. So this has got nothing to do about xenophobia. What has happened here is that a group of Nigerian people have coronated a king in the Eastern Cape. And they've said that they're going to establish a homeland in the Eastern Cape. Now, we're very clear as Action SA that we respect the kings that are existing in this province, and we know that we have a legacy of two homelands, the former Ciskei and Transkei, legacies of poverty and dispossession and lack of opportunity. We are not going to entertain a foreigner coming into this country to establish another homeland. There is no constitutional provision for that.
Our government in Nigeria appreciates this kind of engagement that we just had today. You can see the Honorable Deputy Minister with me. You can see His Majesty also graciously praising this. So it shows the importance of being and of my being here. Straight to your question in terms of the sensitivity. That will tell you, being here shows that we are sensitive to whatever happens on the 14th. And the fact that I mentioned that Nigeria is a nation of culture. We are very rich in culture. And when it comes to respecting the traditional authorities, we are there. We are always ensuring that we revere our traditional institutions and we don't allow anything to tarnish or to taint their image. And that is why we came out strongly to apologize first and to say that we are in solidarity with the kingdom, and that we are here to ensure how we can positively move beyond this.
Say, I apologize. You accept the apology in the spirit of Africanness. And so in that spirit, Your Majesty, as your subjects, we appreciate the token of appreciation that has been given, and as a provincial government will always be with this kingdom to ensure that everything cultural that has to happen in this kingdom is protected in line with the legislations of our country. But we appreciate and thank Your Excellency for this token of appreciation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Abulwan! 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 Abulwan!
And just to give you a broader view on the other thing, that is this part of a wider anti-migrant sentiment? Well, I think once you move beyond the headlines, the next question becomes whether Nigerians are being specifically targeted or whether this is part of something broader. In my view, it would be simplicity to frame it purely on anti-Nigerian hostility, because what we are seeing more often is a wider anti-immigrant sentiment shaped by deep socioeconomic pressures. We are talking about the high rate of unemployment. We are talking about socioeconomic problems in South Africa. They are there. Whether immigrants are there or not, we still have those high rate of unemployment. Whether Nigerians are living tomorrow, we are still going to have a high rate of unemployment. So that will be based on the government of South Africa to say, then if things are like this, what do we do? What are the steps that we need to do to empower the youth, to empower the next generation to uplift them, to ensure that they are well equipped, they are ready for employment. They want to study for something that they'll be looking for employment for. Honestly speaking, it is not only here in South Africa. Everyone in the world has got a problem with unemployment. It
Yeah.
is only it is only you as the state or only as the government to say, okay, how do we address this? How do we maneuver around it to ensure that our economy is inclusive? Whether you are black or white, whether you are disabled or you are mainstream, to ensure that when they look for employment, they are well equipped to be in the employment sector. And to understand why these tensions arise, one has to look to the inequality, pressure on public services, and frustration around crime and
Yeah.
governance. When this pressure build, foreign nationals can unfortunately become an easy scapegoat for such much larger systematic problems. Yes, Femi.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is even where my question next is going, because with all these issues that are faced, that South Africans are facing, which, like you rightly said, most countries in Africa, even outside Africa, is facing. Even in the US, yeah, they are facing issues of unemployment also, because every day inflation is rising. People are losing their jobs. Even people that have jobs, cannot even afford to pay their bills, on a monthly basis. So I know issues like that is not peculiar to South Africa alone. But today we're talking about South Africa. So with all this issue that you've mentioned, one would expect that South Africans would channel their energy and their anger towards the government and protest why unemployment is so on the rise, why they couldn't get jobs, why they couldn't even pay their bills. Why are they targeting? I know, like you said, immigrants are easily the ones that they scapegoats to say, oh, you guys are the ones coming to take our jobs and all that. But over the years, we've seen that that's not the case. Why are they not really focusing on the government? Why are they focusing on the immigrants? And this is not just the illegal immigrant they are focusing on. They are focusing on both the illegal and the legal immigrant.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Femi, for the question. I think it is the government, not they are entirely responsible for to equip the upcoming generation, but to ensure that they have access to education, they have access to employment opportunities, and that they have access to public services delivery within their areas. So I think we need to start there. If we were to have those service deliveries without hard time, I don't think we'd be sitting here talking about one brother attacking another. But
Mm,
just to give you perspective on what the media is shaping the narrative, I think this is where journalism becomes especially important. International audience often see only the most dramatic footage, while
mm,
local audience may become desensitized to recurring tensions. So
mm.
I think when stories are stripped of out of context, they can deepen division. And when reported carefully, then that's where they can help audiences understand the economic, social, and political realities behind the headlines.
What areas of South Africa would you say this protest and xenophobic attacks are more rampant in? I know it's like you said, it's not like a nationwide thing. What areas of the country would you say are most affected by this protest and attacks on foreigners?
Yes, Femi. I think based on what we have seen in the visuals, the mainstream media reporting, I think they're being more focused on the big cities like your Johannesburg, like
Mm,
your Durban, like your Cape Town. Those protests don't happen just randomly. They happen for a reason. It's a movement based on the dissatisfaction amongst the community members to say inequality to lack of opportunities, as I've alluded earlier on.
So they move out in groups, and it's like planned, and they just go out and protest in those areas that you're talking about.
Yes, that's correct. But in no harm, not necessarily that they are going there to cause havoc, but to show their concern about what is happening in their communities, in their societies, and also to alert the government to put their socks on to ensure that what they are fighting for, it is being met, especially when coming to service delivery issues.
Also, I know that this issue of unemployment is what all these things always boil down to. But we can't deny the fact that there are some people, just like, Vusi was saying the other time, he's saying he's not going to say that there are no xenophobic people in South Africa. Of course, we all know the whole country is not xenophobic. There are a lot of great people. Like when I've been in South Africa before, like I said, and I met a lot of great people, very nice people. In fact, I was saying I would definitely come back to South Africa because I loved it. So when we now see videos online and we see people, these are real people that come out and they say things like, oh, Nigerians are this, are that. I'm just saying Nigerians because I'm not saying it's only Nigerians, but I'm just saying this as a Nigerian because right now you're talking to a Nigerian. So I'm saying I'm talking about the videos I've seen about Nigerians because I know they talk about Ghanaians, especially even Zimbabweans, which is kind of like, I feel like you guys are like almost the same country. But that aside, Nigeria, they always say, oh, Nigerians are this, they sell drugs, they give their girls drugs, they are taking our women, things like that, which is kind of funny. But I mean, you hear things like that from some guys saying that, look, Nigerians come here, they take our women, they sell drugs to our children, they did this, they do that. Is that the reality on ground, or is it just some kind of rhetorics that is going on there to just drive out foreigners, especially Nigerians? Because we hear that a lot.
I think, Femi, that is this content that is coming from the community, those that are able to witness what they are going through in their daily lives or once in a while. And similarly, based on Tembi Kwayo, Vusi, whereby he was talking about xenophobic attacks in South Africa, and it is his opinion, really, but it takes a real leadership like your SAPs, those that can investigate to say, is it really happening here, or are these people just saying things out of context? I think it is the high time whereby we sit down and do introspection amongst those kind of issues to say, is it really what is going on here, or is it another agenda that is set against one another? In the end, Femi, is that the story is not simply South Africans versus Nigerians. The deeper story is how economic pressure, migration anxieties, misinformation, and also political frustration interact, and how African societies choose to respond to this pressure with maturity, fairness, and unity rather than division. Because at the end of the day, you be fed these things, and then you really think that yes, someone is really setting a propaganda for Africans to fight against Africans. But I think it is high time for our leaders, not only for South Africans and also Nigerians, but the entire continent, to sit down with maturity and also fairness and unity rather than division, to ensure that this kind of issues, when they attain or when they take place, they're able to address them with cool heads.
You said it all, actually, because I actually wanted to ask you, because you also heard him saying something about it feels this is just an agenda to set Africans against each other, because, and in a way he might be right, I understand what you're saying about the fact that our leaders have to also do the right thing, which is very, very important. And it saddens my heart because when I see what is going on in South Africa, Nigerians have their own issue. We have our own issue in Nigeria. Obviously, we are going through it right now. We are planning to have our election next year, and we are fighting tooth and nail. The young people in Nigeria are fighting tooth and nail to make sure we elect the right leader to put Nigeria on the right path where it belongs, where people don't have to even go out of the country, in the search for better life. But people migrating outside the country to other places isn't gonna stop. Is never gonna stop. Even as China, as big as China is, China is one of the biggest economy in the world, right? And yet China has Chinese people all over the world. In US, in South Africa, I'm sure there are Chinese there. In Nigeria, there are a lot of Chinese people that are immigrants. So people still migrate, even if the country is the best. People still migrate everywhere. So, when we hear rhetorics about, oh, Nigeria should go back to their country, they should go and take care of their country, they should go and make their country great so that they won't be running everywhere. It is not, I don't think that's the issue. Even if Nigeria is great today, people are still going to travel out of the country to other countries. The issue is how do we live together, we in love without having to fight each other, especially when it saddens me when you see blacks, Africans fighting against each other, and saying, go back to your country, go do this, do that. I would want to ask you, though, why do you think this unemployment rate is getting really high in South Africa, though? Because, South Africa is kind of like one of the biggest economies in Africa right now. I think back like 3-4 years ago, Nigeria was one. It always used to be between Nigeria, Egypt, and South Africa. So South Africa is definitely top 3 when it comes to best economy in Africa. So you would be surprised when the issue of unemployment is on the rise. Of course, every country faces issue of unemployment, but when it's now so on the rise like that in South Africa, is it that the government is not doing their part to make sure that the jobs are evenly distributed, or there are even no jobs at all? Or people are not just qualified to get the jobs, or what is actually the issue? Because I know you mentioned something about education, getting people educated to the level where they will be, employable. Is it that they are not employable? Is it that there are no jobs at all to even get employed to? What is actually going on? What is the government's response to all this?
Yes, Femi, your question is very broad, but one thing that I can tell you is that the numbers, the figures of these more than 11 million people that are unemployed, it's quite divided into different elements or different stages or sectors. We got people that just graduated. We got people that are being retrenched or they're being fired at work. And we've got people that are seeking for employment. So all combined, all together, they can make that figure. But still, I think having a great leadership in our government together with the private sector, which are the people that are the beacon of this economy to ensure that our economy is stable. They need to come together at one table to say, how do we solve the issue of unemployment? How do we solve the issue of service delivery?
I hope the tension dies down. I heard there's going to be some nationwide protest tomorrow. Is that true? May 4th?
I beg your pardon?
I said I heard there's going to be like a nationwide protest regarding this issue of, anti-immigrants and unemployment and all that in South Africa tomorrow, May 4th. Is that true?
Yes, Femi, I think the media has been they've been reporting about the unrest for the past few weeks about what is really happening. So it will depend on how things unfold as the time goes on, but we'll see if it becomes reality or not by tomorrow.
How would you rate the issue of immigration in South Africa right now? Do you think it's safe for foreign nationals to come and maybe study, come for vacation, visiting, and just come in to enjoy their lives and just go, like normal immigrants do. How safe would you say the country is for national immigrant right now? Even people that want to just come and study or just come to work.
Um, Out of 10, I will give it 7. We got a very, very good border management, even though there are some that also break the law by
Mm,
forcefully come to South Africa or going out of the South Africa without being properly checked or being properly verified.
mm,
So I think the border management is doing all the best they can to ensure that all the people that are coming in the country and going outside are being documented and ensured that they are being captured to ensure that everything goes smoothly so that they
mm,
can be protected in the
mm.
country when they are.
When they're here. Wow.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you
Thank
for
you.
coming on the
Thank you, Femi.
podcast. Thank you so much. And we hope everything dies down and people go on with their lives. And I hope things improve also in South Africa and here in Nigeria and all over Africa, because at the end of the day, we are one people. We are all Africans at the end of the day. And we all want the best for each other. We all want the best for both countries. We have a lot of things that we do together than we don't do together. You understand what I'm saying? There is
Yeah,
we have
yeah,
a lot of
definitely.
things that we
Yeah,
do
yeah, yeah.
together, a lot of bilateral relationships, like even our entertainment industry is so interwoven that you can't really talk about Nollywood without talking about the South African film industry. You can't talk about Afrobeat without talking about Amapiano. You can't talk about even the government without talking about both economies, because Nigeria and South Africa are one of the biggest economies or two of the biggest economies in Africa. So it's just, we are just stronger together than we are divided, and I hope unity
Definitely.
reigns eventually and we all go back to
Yeah,
living with each other in peace and
yeah,
harmony.
yeah. Thank you, Femi.
Thank you so much, man. Thanks for coming.
Cheers.
Really appreciate it.
Cheers, buddy.
All right, man. All right. Before we continue, I want to ask that you please do one thing for me. This is the only way you can support this channel. It is free of charge, no money involved. Just click on the subscribe button below and subscribe to this channel. It doesn't cost you anything. Just click on the subscribe button below if you've not done so already and support this channel and help us grow. It really means a lot to me. I'm just going to give you a second to do that. All right. Thank you so much for doing that. Let's go back to the video now. Well, there you have it. Two things I want to say actually, which is number one, I want to implore us Nigerians, whenever we go to a foreign country, we should try to know our place and also respect the laws of the country that we are going to. I understand that as a people, when you go to a new place, you want to find your own community, your own people, like maybe fellow Nigerians that are there, and not just Nigerians alone, because Nigeria is a multi-cultural country, multi-ethnic country. We have the Igbos, Hausas, Yorubas, and the Igbos have this thing of having their own community where they maybe elect or appoint someone as their leader, and when they select that person, they crown the person and make that person they give that person some title. And this kind of celebration or event or coronation looks more like you are crowning a king in a particular society or in a particular community in another country, which is where all this started from. Wisdom is profitable to direct. When you want to do something like that in a foreign country, you should inform the authorities and let them understand that this is just a ceremonial event. It is not you having a king in another community where they probably have their own king. There can't be two kings in a community. And if that is not explicitly explained or explicitly stated, it can be confusing for the community where that is happening. And definitely they're going to revolt. And that was what happened. And that was the origin of this recent surge in xenophobic attacks, where they are, furious about the fact that a Nigerian community is electing a king in their own community, and it's kind of like a disrespect to them, blah, blah, blah. I will urge us to desist from doing this. Have your own celebration, celebrate with yourself, but this is from all this having your own king and all that, please. Because the same issue happened in Ghana, and I could remember that was why they were also like furious, and that was one of the beginning of some of the attacks that were happening against some Nigerians, where they say they need to go there, they are doing this and that. That is that. And my second point is that South Africa has a lot of issues that they are dealing with, and these attacks on immigrants, the blame game going on, pointing fingers at each other. You are the ones causing crime in our community. It's just ridiculous when you do that, because you can't. Are there bad eggs in South Africa, like Nigerians doing bad things in South Africa? Of course there are, but does that mean all the Nigerians South Africans are bad eggs? Of course not. I bet it with you, it's just a very, very small percentage of Nigerians in South Africa that are committing crime. And those that are committing crime should be penalized appropriately according to your laws in South Africa. But you shouldn't now decide that because these people who are Nigerians are committing crime, all Nigerian South Africans in South Africa are drug dealers, are this and that. We don't even have like a drug problem like that in Nigeria, because of course every country has a drug problem. But our problem, drug is even the least of our problem in Nigeria. So how come it is very prevalent in South Africa? It tells you a lot. It tells you there is a demand, and if the demand is high, people are going to supply it, whether it is Nigerians or not. Someone is going to supply it. So that should be tackled on its own. Tackle the drug problem. Why are people depending so much on drugs? Why are they taking so much drugs where they have to not get it from? Whether you want to call it some Nigerian selling it or any other nationality. If there are no markets, if there are no people buying the drugs, they wouldn't bring the drugs there. So if you want to blame all your problems on immigrants, you're never going to find a solution, because the immigrants are never going to stop coming. South Africa has a lot of problems, and one of their major problems, I think, is the inequality issue in South Africa. South Africa we know, is a black nation. It's a country of almost like 90% black people, black South Africans. Even though the fact that I'm even having to use black South Africans sounds somehow, because we all know that, that part of the world is dominated by black people. The whites came there. And as it is now, the minority in the country, which are the white people, control majority of the land. How is that even possible? So that's the problem right there. A very small percentage of the whole country controls very large percentage of the land. And we all know that when you don't have control of the land, you're already lost. So, and it is also, fact, the statistics are there, that most managerial positions, most head of department positions are being held by white people in South Africa. So which means the lower jobs, the menial jobs are the ones left for the black people there. So that needs to be tackled. That needs to be taken care of. Instead of focusing all your energy on your fellow Africans, why not focus your energy on that and solve the inequality problem first? And once that is settled, there will be more opportunities for everybody to go around. That it will even get to even immigrants too. That you even need more people to come in and help grow the economy. I hope we realize this and work on all those things so that we can all live in peace. In Nigeria, we don't care about where you're from. We have our problems, yeah, and we deal with our problems. We don't blame it on immigrants. And that doesn't mean we don't have immigrants in our country. Contrary to the opinion where people think, oh, who comes to Nigeria? People come to Nigeria. We have a lot of people from Niger, neighboring countries, from Ghana, from Togo. Everybody mixed with each other. We don't even care where you're from. We've never had all these immigrants must go. Because we see ourselves as one. We don't care where you're from. As long as you can, coexist peacefully, do your duty, do your job. If you commit crime, you're penalized. We don't say because someone from Togo commits a crime in Nigeria, the whole of Togo, all the Togolese in Nigeria must go. Or a Niger citizen commits a crime in northern part of Nigeria, we must say all the Niger people in Nigeria must go. Or Cameroonian. We have a lot of other countries that share borders with us that are in Nigeria too. So all the Zimbabweans must go, Nigeria must go. Needs to stop. We need to realize that we are stronger together than being divided. Anyway, I hope the xenophobic attacks stop, and I hope it doesn't get to a stage where Nigerians will also have to react. And, we've seen this happen before, and I hope it doesn't happen again. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys on the next video.